Is freedom important? Is freedom important? Well, of course, we think of freedom to have fun, freedom for pleasure, freedom for healthcare. Of course, we view those as all positive things. But is there value in protecting freedom to fail? Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Pal Go On. My name is Herbie, and today is a Friday, December 16th, 2022. And as you know, if you're a returning guest, every Friday is a freedom Friday. Every day on Pal Go On, we are discussing the relationship between ourselves and other topics, specifically the Freedom Fridays. Our theme is our relationship between ourselves and freedom itself. Why is freedom so important? We're going to be talking about another topic regarding freedom today. Today we're asking, is it worth protecting the freedom to fail? Is that also a kind of freedom that we see just as valuable as the freedom to enjoy candy, the freedom to enjoy any kind of licentious sexual pleasure? Is it the same as protecting any kind of freedom to go to the mall? The same as protecting any kind of freedom to just sit there and relax and watch TV? We shall be discussing. Welcome to another episode of Pal Go On. Oops. Welcome to another episode of Pal Go On. Good morning. Welcome back. We shall be using some good old body magic tricks as usual before getting on to our topic of the day. If you are a new viewer here, welcome. We have a recommended book reading list down at the bottom so you can catch up on anything that we're talking about. We shall be having a physical portion of the show today, just as well as a mental portion. The physical portion will allow us to stretch our self-awareness like a muscle, although you are listening to this podcast wherever you are, whenever thou art. Whether you are right here live at the premiere on Friday, December 16th, 2022 at 9 a.m., or whether you are out there in a VOD in the future somewhere, a video on demand, we invite you to be doing some to stretch your self-awareness like a muscle today, and let these sounds blend into the symphony of sounds around you. Although this podcast you might be listening to in your headphones or in your speakers. If you are a returning viewer here, welcome back. I hope you had a fantastic weekend so far. Or a week so far. I hope the same for all of you. I hope you've been able to remember to listen to the front of your shins. Welcome back. Did you enjoy yesterday's episode where we were talking about how what were we talking about? It was the Truth Hurts Day yesterday. And yesterday we were, oh God, I have a brain fart. Yesterday we were talking about how quality is a habit, not an act. Hope you enjoyed that episode. There's a little quote from Aristotle. Guys, if you like what you're hearing so far, if you're intrigued by all of these ideas, oh yeah, welcome back. For any new members or any returning viewers, remember, we're here welcoming all people, especially you out there, any addicts right now, any substance addicts or sex addicts or drug abuse addicts or whatever. We welcome you, or anyone who was a previous addict looking for a little bit more freedom in their lives, as we all know that the intensity of what we went through in life often is scary to leave behind. And we're like, how do we switch from intensity to frequency? Am I going to miss all the intensity? Welcome. Or any free thinkers or previous free thinkers and wanting to find their way back to using their bodies in ways that they knew was possible once upon a time when you were a godlike, baby-like child. Welcome to Pal Go On. We are going to be having a great time today. We are stretching our self-awareness like a muscle to stay so present in that physical body of yours. As you know, that physical body of yours is the most true thing that you can possibly be. Your body is here in the present, not in the future, not in the past. Your body is right here, right now, in the most godly place there is, the present. There's already so much to absorb in the present. Let's not live in our imaginations. Guys, we're going to be spending the next 5 minutes or so doing some body awareness, to stretch our self-awareness like a muscle. And do some body awareness, some body magic tricks to make us feel so good from the inside out, to kind of really level us out and kind of increase our integration with the present moment right now, to just stay so present, feel so good. And then after those 5 minutes, we're going to be talking about freedom to fail. We're going to be asking ourselves, is it worth protecting the freedom to fail? Just as much we see that people should have freedom to live their lives devoid of any like problems. People, we just generally see like, oh, people should have free this, free that, free money, free healthcare, free snacks, free access to Netflix, free access to warm food and a warm bed, all this kind of stuff. We're gonna be asking and talking about should we be protecting the freedom to fail? All right, so let's spend about 5 minutes integrating with the moment, guys. Let's do some body magic tricks. What are these body magic tricks? Well, remember that your body is right here, right now, despite what the green screen behind me looks like. Your body is right here, right now. Whether you are driving in a car, vroom, vroom. Whether you are taking a left, whether you are steering right, your body is just right here, just right now. How do we make sure that our body is being engaged in the way that reminds itself that it's just right here, right now? Well, let's remember that our body's hearing awareness, your hearing awareness, works in this 3D form that you can change the shape and size and what it's functioning on, what it's focused on. So, for example, if you would, I invite you to listen for 7 different things all around you. Let's listen for something very far first. Like, let's switch our hearing awareness to kind of like search for sounds outside of the car, outside of the room, or if you're outside somewhere very distant from you. Is that the sound of water in a creek? Is that the sound of some kids playing in a fountain? That's supposed to be water. You hear an airplane outside. Or if you're in a car, is that the sound of traffic speeding by or brakes by you if the traffic's not going so hot? Ooh, do you hear the machine of the next door house? Maybe the air conditioning just turned on. And then if we shift the shape, attention, and size of our hearing awareness, although we are hearing all those other sounds kind of in the background, we can, the same way that you can notice one car in a large group of traffic, you can specifically put your focus on one of those cars, right? You could single it out. We could also single out the awareness of our hearing, bring it closer to ourselves. Although everything does exist in the symphony of sounds around you, you can shift your attention to hearing something much closer to you, like maybe the sound of this podcast, whether it's in your ear or whether it's in a speaker just nearby. Let's try listening for maybe even like the cotton or the material of your clothes as it rubs against your skin. Ooh, I just got a good neck crack from that. What about listening for even a sound within your body, like your heartbeat? Something very, very close to you. Maybe even the sound of your own mouth, your lips, the saliva smacking against itself. So we moved our attention of hearing all the way very far, like onto a plane outside, a machine outside. And then we moved it very close to like the body itself. Now let's try moving our awareness to something medium distance away. Maybe the sound of a spoon tapping against a ceramic glass or a ceramic cup. Good. Good, good. Maybe moving our attention and awareness of hearing to maybe some chattering nearby. You don't gotta eavesdrop, but just the sounds. Or maybe the sound of a window closing or a window opening. And observe your sense of self. How does that feel for you? Maybe is there a sound of like a chair backing up in place? Sounding like Chewbacca? Good. Maybe if you're in a gym, are you listening for like the bouncing basketball in the distance or like the squeaky sneakers? Now let's try moving our hearing awareness again back to the self again. As we're listening for 7 different things all around you, I invite you to take this challenge or take this exercise with you wherever you go, whenever you feel like either de-stressing or just being in the moment. Is that the sound of a click of your shoes on the ground? If we move our hearing awareness back really, 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 really close back to even the self and how the self is interacting with the world. How does that feel for you? Now, one last time, let's stretch ourselves here. Let's stretch our self-awareness by listening to something very, very far away. Very, very far away. Maybe the sound of a door opening on the opposite side of the gym. Maybe the air as it passes through the leaves outside on a tree that just might be just outside of your house or your room. And then let's bring that hearing awareness all the way back in towards the center again, towards the self, to the self. The body, let's do a lip drill. And listen to the body. Good. Fantastic. Give yourself a round of applause. Yay! Woo! Good job. All right. Thank you for joining me in that stretching of self-awareness for about like 5 minutes. I hope you have been feeling fantastic. We're going to take a very short break and be right back to talk about freedom to fail. Should we protect the freedom to fail? We'll be right back after this very short break. Where's the music? Welcome back, everybody. Oops. Welcome back, everybody. I'm still getting used to like all the logistics. I am producing this entire production all by my lonesome right now, so sometimes the buttons kind of go off crazy. I'm still getting used to like the flow of it. Could use some practice more, but we're working with it. More assets are being added constantly. And so we want to increase the value here. Guys, if anything has been intriguing to you so far, please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe for obvious reasons. But I really do appreciate any kind of engagement like that. Let us know how you feel. Go ahead and share if you'd like. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more videos. In the future, by the way, we are looking to switch the time block from like 9 a.m. to 6 a.m. So be on the lookout for that. Today, we are talking about... we're talking about how, hold on. Let me get rid of this box real quick. It's funny. I mean, I'm sure you guys notice in your own lives, like whenever you need something most often to work, but whenever you need something most urgent to work, that's always when it slows down, like your phone or an app on your phone or something like that. I think they call it Murphy's Law. The worst that could happen will happen. It's just something to live by. Today we shall be talking about freedom to fail. Should we be protecting the freedom to fail? My name is Herbie, and let's get started. All right. Let's see here. All right. Excuse me. We tend to think of freedom in terms of conveniences. We tend to think of freedom in terms of pleasures. Any other kind of freedom seems unthinkable in modern conversation. Why would we want people to have freedom to fail? Freedom to shoot themselves in the foot. Freedom to hurt themselves. We tend to think of freedom in terms of what people want to do. And anything that might seem bad to any other person, we don't want people to be free to do that. We don't believe that freedom to fall through the cracks is worth protecting at all. You would think freedom would apply to all behavior. It's a window of acceptable behavior that shrinks, notably, the more people you ask to curate what is okay and what is not okay. Like, for example, if it were up to me, I'd be like, it's not okay for this green screen behind me to be like going crazy all the time. But the green screen would be like, well, I want the freedom to do that. Well, this window of what the green screen is able to do would shrink, and shrink considerably the more people are involved, or the more people that the green screen cares about placating or satisfying. All this sounds like anti-freedom anyway. If you're only interested in protecting freedom in ways that you deem as quote unquote right, if you're only interested in protecting freedom so far as it seems pleasant to you, you're actually shaping someone's freedom according to your own projections of fear of being unable to handle consequences in the past, or unforeseen consequences that you might see in the future in your imagination. What you're doing is you're attempting to force your experiences onto them, which they will never be able to completely understand. They can't possibly adopt your experiences as their own because they have not lived them as you, and they never will. Why would we want freedom for people to allow themselves to neglect themselves? Why do you want freedom for people to behave in ways that end up causing society to shame them? Why should we protect people's freedom to fail in life, socially, economically? Well, what you consider to be failure may not be failure in another, in terms of what their goal is. Is their goal in life to simply satisfy you? Maybe in some toxic parent-child relationships, maybe, but you might ask then, why is your goal for your child to meet your expectations? Why is that your goal? But that might be a conversation for another day. What about others? Say you're trying to give Bob, for example, the freedom to disappoint you. Or say you're trying to protect Bob, sorry. Say you're trying to protect Bob from the freedom to disappoint you. What about another person then? Say their teacher, their peers, social media correspondents. Should Bob's goal in life to be to never disappoint all these people simultaneously, and then you especially at the top? How small of a window of acceptable actions throughout life does this give Bob? No. Other than avoiding certain punishment, it's likely that Bob's true goals in life are closer to like being an astronaut, or a doctor, or a musician, or an athlete. If it takes getting an F in class to then propel Bob into a brighter future, how? By seeing how and why they got that F. This F that they got in that class may provide Bob the knowledge about himself to perform a worth work in the future, a worthy work. An F now, if given the proper freedom to experience that F and then recover from that F and then be forgiven emotionally, so that they're not like considering how they want to not disappoint someone else. But if they're just steeped into the moment of getting that F and then relating that to the goals that they have in life, this F may provide Bob the proper nutrients, the proper understanding, the proper resources, the proper experience in order for Bob to perform a worth work in the future. See, we all talk about wanting the best for others in the world. We virtue signal all day because we think that that's what people want to hear. But under the surface, we don't actually we don't have very much actual faith in humans. We don't very much have any actual faith in our friends. We don't have very much actual faith in our family, or we don't have very much actual faith in ourselves. We want to give a more charitable look on the human mind. In fact, it ends up being more honest look at human beings, really. The human mind is so forward-thinking that it recognizes in itself already that it knows that you will be alone at times in your life. Especially in times of large importance and growth. You will be alone in moments of your life. And your brain already knows this. You're just so smart, like you can just see the larger picture already. It's so smart that it recognizes that freedom to make mistakes and then freedom to correct for them in ways that make sense for your goals is just as important as freedom to relax. More important than being given free healthcare is the freedom to achieve on your own or fail on your own. This requires the freedom to fail. More important than being given free healthcare is the freedom to fail on your own so that you can learn to achieve on your own. The only thing between you and achieving great success is an utmost amount of failure, until you can continuously step on all these failures like a staircase and make your way to achieving that goal. See, you are so profoundly smart that you can see the whole picture even if you don't admit it outwardly. You already see the whole picture that you are in this life alone. and need to be able to do great by sharpening your skills alone. To recover from failure alone. Contrary to popular belief, people picking up the pieces for you every time, emotionally giving you a back rub so that you just deal with the physical and shallow sensations of failure, giving you free get out of jail cards for life struggles. All of these actually robs you. It actually robs you of the gold mines of ways that you could be improving yourself otherwise. Ways that would prevent certain tragedy time and time again for the rest of the unforeseeable future of your life. Now, what's fascinating to me is that forgiveness is part of this freedom that we want to be granting others, the freedom to fail so that they have the freedom to succeed, because we aren't necessarily alone in your life. When you fail alone, you need to be able to recover alone. And so you need to be alone in order to have these moments in which you get stronger, in which you grow, in which you find yourself the necessary tools and understandings and knowledge for you to be able to prevent certain failure in the future. Why? So you can fail even in better ways in the future, which would mean that you're on your way to greater success. But this requires the ability to make mistakes on your own and then pick up the pieces on your own. But this also means handling the consequences on your own. Would you even remember to not fail in the future, or how to avoid failure in the future, if you didn't remember the pain that you had of the consequences that would otherwise be stolen from you? Although we think we're doing better for others, we're like, I don't want them to feel the negative emotional the negative emotional feelings of the consequences of their actions. Well, oftentimes those negative feelings are what causes them to not make those mistakes in the future, so that they can go on and do greater things in life, avoiding those basic mistakes that they would have made, or that they made and they would have remembered if we weren't giving people get out of jail for free cards all the time. Forgiveness tends to be part of this freedom. Is forgiveness robbing someone of the consequences of their actions? Is forgiveness a get out of jail for free card? No, of course not. Forgiveness is more this emotional idea of of not resenting someone or not holding it against them. How do we do that? I mean, as quality as a habit, as we talked about yesterday, habits are often created just from beliefs themselves. These low down, these rudimentary and these lowest common denominator beliefs tend to be what drives the rest of our actions. And so this forgiveness tends to be this spirit of recognizing that we all literally make mistakes. And not only do we literally make mistakes as part of our design, but oftentimes mistakes can be a good thing, unless we rob them of the ability to use that mistake constructively by giving them a get out of jail for free card, picking up the pieces for them, quote unquote, shielding them from the negative consequences of their actions. We rob people the ability to reorient and do better in life. How do we give it back to them? By allowing these consequences to fall where they may and forgiving. How do we forgive? Well, we recognize that there's not really even something that we must do other than to not hold resentment, but that tends to be a behavior pattern based on a belief that we all have within us, which is, do people make mistakes? Are these mistakes personal? Or are they something that every person individually goes through? Simply just arranging your worldview like that makes it so that, forgiveness at that point isn't even really an action. It's just the nature of life, nature of your understanding of life. Forgiveness is part of freedom. How could forgiveness be part of freedom? Are we talking about financial forgiveness? Of course not. Remember, we're talking about how it's not about get out of jail for free cards, but rather not holding resentment for one another. Let's talk a little bit more about how forgiveness is part of freedom. Again, not like this quote unquote student loan forgiveness. So many heinous acts in the world right now are just disguised using language. They'll be like, here's this sugar-free candy, but the candy itself has a lot of sugar. Or they'll be like, here's this totally legal behavior. What they're doing is illegal. Or they'll be like, here, this here's this food forgiveness program, and then give you free food, and you're just like, what? That sounds good. Okay, you take it. It's like dastardly actions going on in the world right now, just clouded and disguised using a word, often really shallowly, just its opposite, in order to make it sound like really nice. Like it'll be like, here's this free the free car program, and then you have to pay for these cars. It's like kind of literally exactly what's going on in the world right now. Just like this weird backwards, like this weird, like shallow way of manipulating people. Like student for loan forgiveness. It's not forgiveness, right? It's just a reallocation of like who the money's being taken from. All right, we'll be right back after this short break to talk about like why is forgiveness part of freedom. Real freedom, not this, and real forgiveness, as in not holding resentment for one another. What could that possibly mean? Of course, it's not forgiveness in like this weird manipulative ways that we're talking about in modern society. We'll be right back after the short break. My name's Herbie. This is Pack One. Tried all the vitamins and gummies that claim they're going to be boosting your mental capabilities, your physical performance, your behaviors in life? Tried them and then felt motivated yet slightly confused and cautious? I mean, are the effects even real or are they a placebo? Are you achieving what you think you are achieving, or is it imagination? Do you have all this energy now, or is that imagination too? Be done with placebos. Be done with uncertainty. Isn't it so draining to be uncertain? You can't even begin to gain confidence in what you're doing. How about some actionable, specific advice instead? Take this gummy, feel the front of your shins. Bam! That one's free. Take Padawan with you wherever you go, whenever you go, and feel so good from the inside out. That was cracked me up. Bam! Feel the front of your shins. I hope you're feeling well. Welcome back to this last portion of today's Freedom Friday. It is Friday, December 16, 2022. Can you believe that we're already here? Oh my God, how are you? How are you doing? I hope you're doing fantastic out there. Hope you've been feeling motivated, as we are always, trying to get you some energy today, generated from the inside out. How? By returning to balance, by reducing our amount of imbalances in our lives. My name is Herbie. This is Pal Go On. Hope you're feeling fantastic out there. Addicts or non-addicts alike, welcome. Come back. Welcome through. Welcome back. Whether you are a returning viewer or whether you are a new viewer, hello, welcome. Check out the reading book list down below. Check out our previous videos. All of them are great videos. All of them are great for understanding how to, or all of them are great videos to watch to allow ourselves some energy from the inside out. We're looking to become independent of any kind of external source of energy. I mean, of course, you need food and water and sleep. But substances, sex addiction, substances. And of course, you're still going to enjoy life and you're still going to do you, baby. But we want to get to a point where you can either do with or without all of these other external pleasures, as we are seeking balance, as we are seeking to feel good from the inside out. Better than your morning would, feel without. So forgiveness is part of freedom, question mark? We're talking about like Should we be protecting the freedom to fail just as much as we talk about the freedom to healthcare, the freedom to watch Netflix, the freedom to perform any kind of sexual acts that we think is awesome? Should we be protecting the freedom to fail? We discussed earlier about how, of course, we should be protecting the freedom to fail because we don't see the whole picture. With our words that describe how we should stop people from being free to fail, we're forgetting that we actually see the whole picture deep down. On the surface, we might act like we don't see the whole picture, and we might be like, hey, they should not be allowed to fail in the way that I deem necessary based on my own projections of life. But in actuality, we do see the whole picture. Deep down, we do see the whole picture that you need mistakes in order to reorient yourself towards what you want to do in life, towards how to avoid mistakes in the future, towards how to do more of what you want to do in the future. We want to be able to experience these mistakes, but without any resentment towards us. We want to be able to experience these mistakes without people giving us a get out of jail for free card. I can't words. We want to be able to have people experience these mistakes without a get out of jail for free card, without picking up the pieces for them all the time, without we want to allow people to experience the consequences of failing or falling through the cracks or disappointing themselves or disappointing others or behaving in ways in which society might shame them. We want people to be able to experience those. Why? Because those experiences are like a gold mine. They're just resources upon resources, like nutrients that people need in order to improve themselves in ways that they want to improve. Does this pain matter to them? If so, they will make improvements. They will remember these moments so that they can improve in the future. It's hard, but do we have the strength to allow people the freedom to make mistakes? Forgiveness is part of that freedom. Not as in pretending it never happened, but rather not resenting one another as if you yourself has never made a mistake, as if you yourself could not understand how to make a mistake, when that's our nature as human beings, is to get to a better spot. We need to make mistakes upon mistakes in order to like kind of step on them like staircases. Forgiveness is part of freedom, as in not holding resentment for that person, having no resentment towards you. Forgiveness is part of freedom, and as we know, freedom itself is synonymous with happiness itself, is it not? There's something so deep down that humans know about themselves that freedom is so important. Not just freedom to lay down, not just freedom to sit on a couch and watch Netflix, not just freedom to eat all the chicken that you want and then suddenly like you have no ability to get skinny again. Not just the freedom to do all those things, but the freedoms to make mistakes. Forgiveness is part of that freedom. The question is, do others in the world around you have the strength to deal with the mistakes to allow you to grow? A strong enough handle on their own lives so that mistakes from others aren't these catastrophic events beyond the reach of forgiveness. Again, the question is not should we allow people. The question is not simply should we allow people the freedom to make mistakes. As we are recognizing that forgiveness is part of freedom itself, the question becomes, do others in this world around you have the strength to deal with your mistakes to allow you to grow? The strength in order to forgive you so that there's no resentment held towards you in your mistake making. Why do we need forgiveness? Well, when you make a mistake and then have all these people resenting you and there's no forgiveness involved, we tend to become more concerned with satisfying their emotional needs rather than living in the mistake that we made, living in the consequences in order to just objectively see what needs to happen in order to avoid these mistakes in the future. We become obsessed with people pleasing, with emotionally satisfying others so that they're not mad at us. Forgiveness is necessary for people to have freedom to improve from mistakes so that they can focus on the mistake itself and not emotionally satisfying or protecting themselves from the emotional consequences of someone else. Forgiveness is required so that people can actually improve and so that people can actually get over mistakes and actually use them constructively. Forgiveness is required. The question is, again, do others in this world around you have the strength to deal with your mistakes so that you are allowed to grow? The strength to deal with your mistakes is then the strength to not hold it against you, the strength to not resent you. Do they have a strong enough handle on their own lives so that mistakes from others aren't these catastrophic circumstances beyond the reach of forgiveness? This might be a joint effort that we all got to take part in if we want true growth for ourselves and, of course, others. Forget the golden rule. It's all about the silver rule, baby. Before we head out, I'd love for you to join us in some body magic tricks again. Let's go ahead and pretend that there's a candle in front of our lips that we're trying to not put out. Just a flickering candle that you're trying to not put out. And I think about inhaling or exhaling necessarily. Simply that there's a candle there. You're trying to not put it out. As we observe our sense of self and stretch our hearing awareness once more. Is that a tree shaking outside? Is that a bird chirping outside? Is that the sound of this podcast in your ears, or is that on a speaker? As we are remembering that we don't sit on our legs and allowing the weight of our body to be delivered like this diagram behind me into the front of the spine and then into the rainbow arches at all times, are we thinking about listening to our heartbeat? Bringing that hearing awareness close again. Maybe the sound of a cord hitting against the table. As we are curling our toes towards the front of our shins always and not the back of our heels, is that the sound of a coffee being sipped around you? Perhaps a cup of water. And as we push as we move and shape our hearing awareness once more to somewhere far and then once more back in close towards the body, is that an airplane outside? Or the sound of humming of the wind passing through between houses? And then lastly, we bring our hearing awareness much, much closer as into the body. Is that the sound of your pants scratching against the chair? And now, is that the sound of your tongue smacking against your lips? I want to thank you guys for joining us here today on December 16th, this Friday, December 16th, 2022, a Freedom Friday. Remember that we shall be moving our time blocks of these shows earlier to like 6 a.m. so that the whole world can experience it earlier. Also, I just think it's right for Pau Go On to be a podcast, a show that happens as the sun is rising or before. I mean, just look at the background, right? Thank you guys for joining us. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think about all this right here. Let us know if you think that freedom to fail is something that we should protect just as much as we should protect other freedoms, or maybe you disagree. Maybe you do believe that we should be preventing people from failing and that's the best for humans. Whatever it is, I hope to hear from you soon. I hope you're having a fantastic morning. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Let's go be free, baby, on Freedom Friday. Let's reduce pain and suffering in our own bodies by caring about the proper things. There's so many things to care about. Let's care about the proper things. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's care about the proper things all day today and for the rest of the weekend. Let's remember to stretch our self-awareness like a muscle. We hope that you will take these exercises with you wherever you go, whenever you go, and we shall see you here on Mover Monday. We shall see you here on December 19th. That is Monday, December 19th, 2022. We'll see you here. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is Herbie, and this has been the Best Feeling Podcast, the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast. Have a good one. See you next time. Thank you.